All right, so welcome everybody to our first training webinar on online databases. So today, Stephanie Farrell is going to be taking you through 3 general interest databases. So we're going to go through the PowerPoints, and if you have questions, put them in the chat and we'll answer them at the end of each section. We'll also have some training exercises that I'll be sending to you after the presentation is done. So you'll be seeing an email from me, and you can send your replies back to me after you're done the training exercises. So without any further ado, I'll pass it over to Stephanie. And if you have any technical trouble, send me a chat, okay?
Okay, well, welcome everybody to our first webinar, one of several that we're going to be having this year to give everybody some training in the use of our online databases. So this morning we're going to be going over the general interest databases. These are the ones you see right at the top of the page when you click on online databases on our website. And I think they're some of the most interesting ones because they cover a lot of news sources and things like that. So these are ones that patrons, a lot of questions you may get from patrons will often be found in these databases. So we're going to go through each one at the end of each section of each 3 we're going to go over, as Jessica mentioned. We'll take some time to check any questions that you've put in the chat. And if there's anything that I can't answer right offhand, I will find the answer and I will get it to you. So some of these you may have seen before, but we're going to be going through just how they work and what they can do for you and your patrons. All right, so I hope everyone can see my PowerPoint. We're going to be starting with Canadian Newsstream. So, what is Canadian Newsstream? This database offers access to the full text of over 190 Canadian newspapers. And so this is the complete available electronic back file for most of the newspapers. It has full access to the articles, columns, editorials, and features published in each one. The archived articles go back a long way for quite a few of the papers in Canadian Newsstream. For example, you can go back into the 1980s, I think at least 85 or further for the Globe and Mail. You can go back as far as 1998 for the Telegraph Journal, for example. So there's quite a bit of stuff in Canadian Newsstream. It also covers a lot of the local smaller papers in Atlantic Canada, especially New Brunswick. A good example, the Miramichi papers in here, the Woodstock paper is in here, St. Stephen. Those are just some of the ones I've had to use over the years in Canadian Newsstream, and they're in here. So there's a lot of stuff available, not just the big ones, but of course the big ones are there too. So transcripts of news programs are also included in Canadian Newsstream, should you ever need that kind of thing. Now, the one thing that Canadian Newsstream does lack is photographs or obituaries. For those kind of resources, you probably have to look elsewhere. A little piece of advice I would give to anyone who subscribes to any paper copies of newspapers. Usually these days that will also include online access to their website, which will often have the photos and things like that, so you can get stuff out of there. If you have any questions about looking into that, I can help you with that. And obituaries, often these days, a lot of them are archived through the funeral homes directly, and you can get stuff that way. Of course, for things that are very old, you'd have to be going into microfilm anyway. It wouldn't be in Canadian Newsstream if it went back, past the 80s and things like that. So it does have a few things that aren't there, but the content is really, really thorough for the most part, especially for anything recent. There's a lot of material in here. All right. To access Canadian Newsstream, it's available to anyone with a New Brunswick Public Libraries card. And that includes limited cards and blocked cards. It doesn't affect your access to any of the databases. So even if somebody's got fines or they only have an adult limited card, doesn't matter. They can get into the databases. So you simply go to the main homepage. I usually tell patrons to look directly on their library card because it's written right on there. It takes you straight to the main page. And the online databases, you can go through the collections tab. It's also got a big button right on the main page, so it's usually pretty obvious for folks to find. And so once you've clicked that, you're going to have the general interest resources right at the very top. They're the very first selections in the database page. You click on the blue hyperlink for Canadian news streams, right there, the first one on the left. And I didn't mention before, but if anyone's interested, when I'm going through this PowerPoint, you're going to be seeing screenshots, and I'll explain what we're doing. But if you want, you're welcome to open your browser and go to our website, log into the databases, and kind of follow along there if you'd like. It's not necessary. The screenshot should explain everything. But if you'd like, you're welcome to do that. I'm not going to do it here because I don't want to have to switch back and forth between things. So for Canadian Newsstream, there are 3 ways to search it. There's a basic search, an advanced search, and publication search. The 3 types of searches are listed at the top of the Canadian Newsstream homepage. It's right up there on the left-hand side of the page. So if anyone does have the browser open, you would be able to see that right there at the top. Now, for whatever type of search you're in, a bold line will be underneath the type, so you'll know what you're using when you're on the page. And each type of search has its advantages according to the user's information needs. All right, so when you open the Canadian Newsstream homepage, it will open on the basic search function. You can see in my screenshot here, up in the upper left-hand corner of it, where it says Basic, Advanced, Publications, and you can see the bold line under Basic Search showing that I'm there. So it is what you see right away when it opens. It's a good choice for an information search that needs to be broad. So entering keywords into the search box here will return articles from all the newspapers in Canadian Newsstream that contain those keywords. Could be in the title of the article, could be the subject, in the abstract, or the full text. And this can be useful for patrons who need results from different newspapers on the same topic. You have students in, perhaps they're researching a current event or something like that. This would get you not just what was in the Telegraph, but also what was in the Globe Monitor and the Gleaner or whatever. There is a checkbox below basic search that can be checked if you only want the full text. You can see it in the screenshot right here. A lot of the newspapers in Canadian Newsstream have a 1-day delay on their full text, and so they'll only provide the basic information, like just the abstract or title, for the same-day articles. So, for example, today is January 30th. If you're in here, you're not going to get the Daily Gleaner's articles from January 30th. They'll just have, like, their headlines. Tomorrow, you'll be able to see that. So I would say most of the papers do have that 1-day delay. I mean, and that's their business. You know, they want people to buy their actual paper on the day of. So that's just kind of part of the deal with the database. So that's something to keep in mind if people are looking for something very, very recent. That if it came out that day, it's not going to be in here yet. You'll just see the evidence that it will be there tomorrow. All right, so one sec here, I'll make sure there. Thought I might have hit it too far. So when you do a basic search, this is what the result page will look like. Now the example I've got here is we've typed the keywords Minto and fire and grocery store into the basic search box, and then we clicked on the magnifying button. That's what will start your search right there. And when the search was done, there were 69 results returned. And so because basic search returns results from several different newspapers, not just one, we can see that 3 different New Brunswick papers covered this story. And the basic search allows the user to see each article on that fire from each paper. So you're getting different perspectives from each one, right? So not just what the Telegraph said, but what the Gleaner said or what the Times Transcript said. Now the keywords from your search, you'll see they're all highlighted in yellow here. So that's a good way as you're scrolling through the articles to remember what your keywords were and what you were looking for. And they stay on that yellow highlight. So the way Canadian Newsstream arranges things, the most relevant results appear at the top of the result list. So relevant refers to the articles with the most occurrences of the search keywords. So as the list descends, fewer keywords appear in the articles and the relevance declines. So if I went down the page, maybe 10 articles or so, maybe the keywords Minto and fire might be in my result list, but not grocery store. So it could be referring to another fire that happened in the Minto area, but not the one where the grocery store burned down, which is what we're looking for. So yes, so that's one good thing about Canadian Newsstream. Your keywords, the more they appear, the better the article at the top of the list. So as you work your way down, things get less and fun. All right, so each article's title is hyperlinked in blue, and you click on that blue link to actually read the article. So you can see here, this is what one of the articles looks like in Canadian Newsstream. So the headline was Tragic Fire Claims Village's Only Grocery Store. Here's the abstract, a little summary of the article, and there's the full text down below. And so you can see there everything you would want to read on the article right there on the screen. Now, one little tip here, the yellow highlighted keywords may be turned off by selecting Hide Highlighting, and that's here on the page. So that can be important if someone wants an article printed, for example, like say you were helping a patron do research and you found an article. If you just printed, like hit the print function from here, the yellow will actually print with it. I learned that the hard way one day when I was printing for a patron who then came back and wanted the yellow removed. So I kind of found that out that way. But I mean, if they don't care, it doesn't matter. And if you don't have a color printer, it's not going to matter as much anyway. But that's just a little tip there. So each article will have the title, the author, the publication name, location of the publication, and date the article was published. Most articles also have an abstract. You can see this one does, and most of them do, and then the full text down below. So that's what your result would look like when you've actually gone in to read one of the articles that was of interest to your search. All right, so now once we've done our search, we have found some interesting articles we want to use for ourselves, for our patron. We need to preserve them. So when you are doing these searches, there are several ways to preserve the results. The first one, and one of the most useful I find in here, is email. So the user of the database can email the article to their email address or to someone else's email address, or both at once. You can put as many in as you need. You can, to access that, you click on the email hyperlink. There, it's on the right-hand side of the article page. So when you're in there reading your article, up on the right-hand side, all these ways to preserve are in a little box right there. There's 4 of them, and they're all blue hyperlinks. Cite, email, print, and save. A site we'll talk about a little later, but right now we'll just go through the main ones here. So email, you just enter the email address in the box marked email addresses, fill in the box for name after that so people know who it's coming from. Users can choose to include a message with the email, or you can check the bibliography box, which sends the citation along with it, also very handy, especially if you were doing research on behalf of a patron. You'd be able to send them everything they needed. I've done this several times myself from the Fredericton Public Library, looking something up for someone, and then just send the article directly from here for them. And once you've filled out this box right here for email, you just hit continue, and it sends the email message. And of course, patrons or yourself can also print an article. The function is up there right next to email. Selecting print opens a pop-up window. It'll give you the estimated number of pages to print. I mean, depending on the length of the article. I mean, some of the newspaper ones are really only a couple pages long. You can check the bibliography box to include the citation right there. And you select continue, and it prints. So, and that would be if the patron was printing it at your library, just cost whatever it usually costs for printing, and away you go. And you can also preserve an article by saving. Now, there's several different ways to save an article in Canadian Newsstream. It's a function that works best if they're using their own computer or saving to a flash drive if they're using your public internet access. There's also a function called My Research, which is available. You can see like Save to My Research. It's a function provided by Canadian Newsstream. Anyone using the database may create an account with them and save articles and searches in that account. It can be accessed at the top right-hand side of the page under the icon My Research and Language Selection. Now, people are welcome to do that if they want to. I mean, it's not necessary, and if you find it confuses a patron or they're not sure how to get their stuff back, you don't have to go into that with them if you didn't want to. But it is there, and if someone was doing a lot of research in there, it might be something very useful for them to do. The other saving options may be used according to the user's familiarity with them. You can select PDF, it'll save that. They can save however they want, like RTF. Usually that can work between different word processing programs. It all depends on what they want and what would work best for them. So usually I recommend something simple and easy that, I understand. I know the patron understands too. So, I find oftentimes people are emailing more than they save, but it's up to whatever they want. And that fourth option we mentioned earlier, besides email and print and save, there's a cite option. And this is really handy, especially for anyone doing research for school, any level of school. The cite option provides a professional citation for the article in one of many bibliographic formats. So when you hit cite, it'll give you a drop-down menu, and it'll ask which bibliographic format you want. And the citation can be created in that format. So MLA, APA, whatever their requirement is. It does that for you. And I really wish something like that had been around when I was in university. It would have been much easier. All right. So that's everything on how to do a basic search, how to open an article that you find in Canadian Newsstream, how to read it, and how to then either send it on to someone, print it off, save it. So now we're going to touch on some of the other ways to search in the Canadian Newsstream, and one is called Advanced Search. So this is a good option for users who are looking for a specific topic. They know, exactly what they want in mind, or they only want a particular type of result. So it's available at the top of the search box on the home page, just like we had seen basic search lined up. Right next to it is advanced search. There. So in the advanced search option, users may enter several keywords and select exactly where they want these keywords to appear in their search results. So this would be basic finds them anywhere. It could be in the abstract, could be in the full text, could be in the title. With this, you can narrow things down a little more. You're able to say, for example, if we did a search on New Brunswick, and then I selected in the drop-down menu, I selected document text, and then FT means full text. That would mean I'd want the word New Brunswick only in the full text of the article, not in the title, not in the abstract, just in the full text. And then if I went down to the next form, you can add as many of these as you want, depending on how narrow you want to make your search. And then you could add libraries as document text, full text in the second box. And then you could add a third one. And you could put seeds. And again, in this example, you can probably tell by now what kind of article I'm looking for. And make that document text, full text. So in an advanced search like that, it would indicate that I'm looking specifically for an article that mentions New Brunswick, libraries, and seeds, all in the text of the article itself. And when you have the conjunction and connecting each one, that means that they will all be found in the same article. It's those Boolean searches we've all heard about. You can add or with and things like that. But I find in advanced search, usually you're narrowing down a search, so I tend to use and a lot because you're trying to narrow it down further from just a basic search. So if I did my little search on New Brunswick and libraries and seeds, what would happen, I would hit search and I would get a list of results that includes a specific article about seed libraries. So I did this a little test on this yesterday, and I got results for the Fredericton Public Library, Seed Library, and I also got a mention of one at St. Andrews. So I didn't get a huge amount of articles all talking about seeds and or libraries or New Brunswick in general. I only got a very small list that just dealt with seed libraries. And another nice thing about advanced search is that you can limit to have only full text results, or only within a specific date range. For example, I only want articles from 2016 on this topic, or from 2015. Then you can narrow that down further in there. You don't have to bother sorting through a lot of other articles that could mention those topics that come before. You can also select only a certain type of publication, or only in a certain language. So there's a lot of options in advanced search, depending on what the patron's needs are as they search. They may think basic is getting them just far too much, and then advanced can really help narrow things down. Now, we're going to talk about publication search. This is the third option on the main page, and this is one that I've actually used a lot. It all depends on what your patrons' needs are at your various libraries, but I really like this one because it's a good choice for users who want to read an entire issue of a newspaper, or if they want to search for an article or subject within a specific newspaper. So they don't want to get results. A good example, sometimes the Daily Gleaner and the Telegraph can cover a lot of the same topics. Maybe they only want what the Gleaner said about it. And so you could cut out all the extras by simply going into publications and then just doing your search from there. But it's also very, very useful for patrons who simply want to read the paper. I find a lot of people come in and they just simply want to read the paper, and maybe yesterday's paper issue is being read by someone else, or it went missing, or, lots of things happen to our paper copies. We all know this. You can show them Canadian Newsstream, and they can simply read the paper this way without having to worry about the paper one. Again, it does have that 1-day delay. But I find most patrons are pretty reasonable. They understand that, and but like a lot of people come in wanting to just read yesterday's paper. They can do it from here, and publications is the best way to show them how to get in. All right, so the publications list is alphabetical. You can see the letters right along there. But it can also be searched by entering a specific title in the provided search box there, or by selecting the letter of the alphabet that corresponds to the desired periodical's name. So if you selected D, and you would get all the newspapers in Newsstream, but start with the letter D. So users may read each issue by selecting the name of the newspaper once they locate that on the list. Then they select the date range they need under Browse Specific Issues. Once you click on the blue link paper, it'll give you a range of dates to find, and then they click on the year they want. And then once they select the desired year, month, and day, everything's just listed by date. A page opens with all the articles from that particular issue. So that way they're seeing everything that was in the paper. So that brings us to the end of Canadian Newsstream. This is one of the most used databases of the ones we have. Has a lot of users. So I think there's a lot of interest out there. And I think it's something that you can really grow in your own library. Often when I've told people, they're like, oh my goodness, I can read the paper for free. And I'm like, yeah, like you can go back and read the whole week's worth, and you don't have to worry about your paper getting wet in the driveway or something like that. So I think this one is something that you can really promote to your patrons, and they'll pick right up on it. So does anyone have any questions? Jessica's taking things in the chat now. Looks like we're getting a message coming through. Yes, Jen Wilcox has just mentioned that some of the complaint you get is that there aren't photos. It is a big missing thing out of Canadian Newsstream. I really wish they were there too. But that's where I would really tap in to see if your paper subscription to any of the newspapers you have covers an online version. because it's usually paid for in the subscription, and you can usually get the pictures that way. So not perfect. They've got those two big missing. I really wish the obituaries were in there too. It would be handy, but these days a lot of the funeral homes archive stuff more, so it's not as bad as it was 4 or 5 years ago, where it was a lot harder to get a hold of that stuff. And who knows, maybe someday they'll be able to have photos. I really don't know what the reason is that they don't, whether it's just copyright reasons or space reasons, but I know they're not there. Yeah, it is probably a space issue. They take up so much space. All right. Well, if we don't have any other questions, and again, if you think of something after the presentation, feel free to email me or send me a message on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to track stuff down. I like doing that stuff. So we're going to move on from our newspaper database into our magazine database. So now we're looking at Canadian Reference Centre. So I'm sure some of you have used Canadian Reference Centre. But I'm going to go over what it is, what it can do, and how it can help our patrons. So Canadian Reference Centre combines Canadian magazines, newspapers, and newswires, as well as reference books, to create a large collection of full-text content. So this covers all kinds of different magazines, far, far more than we would ever be able to keep in paper in any library. And so it makes this content available to everyone without having to worry about space and subscriptions and all that kind of stuff. Although it is primarily English-based, there is some French content. And most of the periodicals do provide full text. There are some in here that only have abstracts of the articles. So be prepared for that. If you're ever searching, you may come across that where you're only seeing the abstract. Not as much as there used to be. I feel like it's gotten better. And most of the major ones, ones that you might go to more often, they usually do have full text. It's just kind of some of the more obscure ones sometimes in there. Maybe they only have the abstract. Now, photographs in this one, they may be available, they often are, if the periodical provides a PDF version of their article, but not if they only provide an HTML version. And we'll see some samples of this as we go through. It really depends on the magazine, but a lot of the major ones do have both versions. So the PDF is simply a scan of what the actual page looked like if you were holding it in paper. The HTML, they're only giving you the text, right? Obviously, you're not going to see the picture as well. But it has really good archive. The articles in the archive, they go back as far as the 1980s for a lot of these ones, and definitely into the 90s for most. So you get quite good coverage in the Canadian Reference Centre. Now, you'll notice in the screenshot that there's two versions. There's the regular one here. It has an English and French interface. And then there's the text-to-speech support, so that can help our patrons with print disabilities. There's a synthesized voice that will read the text of the what's on the screen to them. It only works in English for that, but that may be helpful to people. I've used it a few times just to try it, and I encourage you to do the same. But for general research, I would probably just jump straight into the regular Canadian Reference Centre. All right, so accessing Canadian Reference Centre is just like accessing Canadian Newsstream, available to anyone with the New Brunswick Public Library's card. So just as I mentioned before, the limited cards and the block cards, they work to access the databases. So exactly the same route to get to that as Newsstream. And under the general interest resources, the blue hyperlink for Canadian Reference Centre is right next to Newsstream. It's the next one over to the right. And there are three ways to search Canadian Reference Centre. And these probably are going to sound familiar. Basic search, advanced search, and publications. So very similar in that way, in that structure, to the first database we looked at. So each type of search has advantages according to the information needs of our patrons. So, and the 3 types of searches are all found on the Canadian Reference Centre homepage. So now we're having a look at what the homepage looks like. So just like Newsstream, it will open on the basic search function. So this is what it looks like right here on the screen. So it's a good choice for an information search that needs to be broad. If you enter keywords into the basic search box, it will return articles from all periodicals in Canadian Reference Centre that contain those keywords in the title, subject, abstract, or full text. So again, this is to hit everything, not just a specific publication, but you want to see what's out there on that topic. So you bring back a lot of different results. So the example I'm going to be showing on the screenshots, we're going to use the keywords interior decorating and living room into the basic search box, and then we click on that green search button right there, and then you will see what our results are like. Here they are. So this is what a result list looks like. So this is giving us a lot of different periodicals that cover the topic of interior decorating. The keywords are highlighted in bold text as you go down. You can see where those are popping up. Now, Canadian Reference Centre uses subjects that specify the topic of each article. It's their own subjects that they're assigning to each article. And if the keywords entered in the search box do not exactly match the Canadian Reference Centre subjects, a suggestion will appear below the search box. It'll say, did you mean interior decoration living room? And if you click on that suggestion, you get a larger number of articles on, in this case, living room interior decorating, because the keywords now match Canadian Reference Centre subjects. So that's really useful because it can catch that you're close but not quite what Canadian Reference Centre uses, and it'll say, try this, basically. Did you mean this? And boom, it'll help you get a better set of results. All right, so now we've done our search. Now we're going to access what we have got for our results. So each article will provide the title, author, the source, the subject, and the date that the article is published. So pretty much anything anyone would need to research their article. Most will also have an abstract, followed by the full text of the article if it's available. And for the most part in Reference Centre, a good number of them are going to have the full text. So some of them, as I mentioned before, will have both an HTML version and a PDF version. If that's an option, users may select which version they wish to view on the left-hand side of the page. So if this had a PDF version, it would be on the left-hand side. This is an HTML version we're looking at, by the way. So you're just simply seeing the text. All right, so we've done our search. We found an article that interests us. Now we need to preserve our results. So just like our other database, we can email. So articles can be emailed to the patron, to themselves. You can send it to someone else, and multiple at once. So if you click on the email hyperlink on the result page, it opens a window just above the article, and it will ask you to enter the email address in the box, email to, and then the users may choose to include a subject line or comments. You can see there's where you can put your email in. Here's where you can put a subject and comments. It's always a good thing. I usually recommend that people always fill something in because they may forget what they were researching or they were doing multiple things, and that way it's a little quick reminder of what article this is that they've sent to someone, and just makes things a little easier. So there's a drop-down menu when you email that you can select the citation. You see it right there. So, and then you click send, and off your article and your citation and everything goes. And you can print. And there's a couple different ways to print. So long as the computer's hooked up to a printer, if you select print, it'll open a window above the article. And then first we're going to talk about printing the HTML version. So it provides the article, so you're just getting the text, and a citation option. So you click print, and then the text comes off and the citation. So you're not getting any pictures or anything. You're just getting that HTML version that we looked at. But if you're viewing the PDF version, of an article, the print option has to be selected from within the PDF. I think most of you guys are familiar with opening a PDF document and what that looks like. And when you you hover your mouse over the PDF image, the print function then appears as a little button. And at the top of the image, and you select print from there. And then that will give them all their photos and everything that goes with it. Otherwise, if you don't do it that way, it just defaults to the HTML version and they don't get their images. So that's one thing about the PDF. This just to show you the HTML we were looking at earlier, this is the PDF version of that same article. So you can see there was actually a lot of photos that did accompany it. And I'm just going to, right here, well, no, actually, I'll mention that later. So now we're to the save function. You can save articles. Again, if they're on their home computer, good option, or if they have a flash drive plugged into your public access. It'll open a pop-up window, which will give you instructions on how to save. In Canadian Reference Centre, you can save as a text file, that's a .txt file, or an HTML file, and you just choose whatever is best for the patrons. And just like in the other database, there's a cite function. So again, you can choose which citation format is best. It'll give you the professional citation, and great for researchers, great for students coming in. They can just choose the one they need and add it to their paper. All right, so that we just covered basic searching, how to do a basic search, how to read the results, how to preserve or share the results. So now we'll go into advanced search. It's, again, it's when users are looking for a specific topic or they only want a certain kind of result. And it's available below the search box on the Canadian Reference homepage. There's a blue hyperlink right underneath that basic search box that says advanced search. And when you click on it, this is what it looks like. So in the advanced search option, users may enter several keywords and select exactly where they want those keywords to appear in their search results. So for example, if we put interior decoration, because now we know that's what Canadian Reference Centre likes to use, as a subject term in the first box, so you type in and in the box next to it, you select you want that to be the subject. And then in the next box, you put Canada as a geographic term. There's a whole drop-down menu of different ways you can search for it. And then living room in the third box, and you just leave that open, like it could appear anywhere. It doesn't have to be a subject, doesn't have to be anywhere else. It can just be in the article. That will return a list of results that are specifically about interior decoration for living rooms from a Canadian perspective. So they might be drawn directly from a Canadian magazine, for example, not an American one. So it gives you a shorter list of results and more specific than just that broad search where we got every result that mentioned interior decorating in living rooms. So this one, we've really narrowed it down. And like on the other database, you can limit only full text results. Quite useful in Canadian Reference Centre, actually, where there are a few more abstracts than there may be in Canadian Newsstream. So it will filter all those out. Or by a date range, so we only want interior decorating articles from 2017, on that, and you could select that. By the type of publication or by language. So again, it just will narrow the results down. Very good if the patron is very specific about something. So it's a good option there. And I do like that full text only. All right, now this one. Again, like in Canadian Newsstream, I've often showed this to patrons, the publication search in Canadian Reference Centre, and this often catches a lot of people's attention. This is really good for patrons who want to read the entire issue of a magazine or search for an article or subject just within that. I actually used this just last week to find an article that the patron knew it was in Maclean's, and he had an idea of what issue it was. So I went straight into publications and brought up Maclean's, and I put in the keywords, and we found it that way. It was a lot faster than just trying to basic search it and hope for the best. So the publications is available at the top left-hand side of the Canadian Reference Centre homepage. So it's right up there. You just click on the hyperlink, and the page opens. It's an alphabetical list, but you can also enter a specific title in the search box, and it will take you directly to that if it's in there. Or you can simply click on the alphabetical letter and you'll go to that list. So, for example, if I click on M in the alphabet list, I get every periodical that begins with M, and just from my own experience, I know Maclean's pops up directly on top because it's MAC. And then once you've done that, once you've located the title you need and clicked on it, then you can select the volume, issue, or date needed. And then a page will open with all the articles from that particular issue. There is also a blue hyperlink on the left-hand side, search within this publication. Once you've got that open, this is what I used actually to find that result I mentioned. We put in the keywords he could remember from the article he thought he saw, and we found it that way. But this is really, really appealing for patrons who may want to just simply read a magazine for leisure. They can read a lot of popular magazines are in here, and in PDF form too. So they're often going to be able to see everything that they would have seen if they bought the magazine right off the newsstand. Some examples are People magazine. That's in there, and it's in PDF, so you're going to get all the pictures. You can get all of Maclean's that way in PDF. You can get Entertainment Weekly. You can get like Martha Stewart Living and Canadian Living, and a lot of them are in there in that way. So promoting it to patrons as here's a way to read these magazines. Like maybe you've had to cut a subscription because you can't afford it anymore or something, but you can say, well, it's still in Canadian Reference Centre here, and you can still read that. Then they can really, it really piques interest, I find, from patrons. All right, are there any questions on Canadian Reference Centre? One really good one that's in here that I use a lot for patrons is Consumer Reports, and it's got the PDF version as well as HTML, so you can print off exactly what they'd be seeing, and I've noticed patrons really like that. I see Mary has asked, how current are the magazine issues? Usually right up to the current month. I don't find there's that day delay or delay very much in here. Even if there's a little bit, I've never really noticed it. So, yeah, the current issues are usually right there. It's usually like the weeklies, they usually have their stuff up pretty well, and the monthlies definitely. So, yeah, like I know Maclean's, he was wanting an issue from like just a few weeks ago, and it was right there in that example I used. So yeah, you should be able to promote that to your patrons. They're very current. All right. So if nobody else has any questions for that right now, just like I said before, if you think of something later, shoot me an email or send me a link message. But we're going to move on to our third and final database in the general interest databases, and this is Eureka. And Eureka is our French language database. So we'll start going over this one. It has a little different format than the other two. So Eureka provides access to electronic versions of a lot of different newspapers and periodicals in French. So it has l'Acadie Nouvelle, l'Actualité, le Devoir, le Droit, et la Presse. Those are some major ones. I mean, certainly we all know Acadie Nouvelle. Now, there are other resources in Eureka as well as newspapers. They'll link right out to public social media accounts, which I thought was pretty cool. It can link to studies, to reports, and different directories. So there's some different things in Eureka that you don't find in the other two English language ones. There is a little bit of English content in Eureka, but most of it is French. So this is where I always turn to first if we need to do any searching in French for something. Okay, just like the other ones, doesn't matter what type of card you have, you can get in to access it. Eureka is just below Canadian Newsstream on the main page because Canadian Reference Centre takes up 2 spots at the top of the page. You just look right down below on the general interest resources, it's right there. So there are 3 ways to search. And so these have slightly different than the other 2. They call their basic search 360-degree search. And then they have an advanced search, and they have a PDF search. The default search is the 360-degree search. This is on Eureka's homepage when it opens. So when you open it up, that 360-degree search on the search box is directly in front of you. So advanced search is listed directly below the 360 box. So when you have that box open, you look down below it, advanced search is right there. Now the PDF search is located at the top of the main page on the left. And each type of search, depending on what you're looking for, has different advantages for your users' needs. So this is what the home page looks like. Here's that 360-degree search page. There's the advanced search underneath it. And there's the PDF search right up there on the left. So this is what it looks like when you open the page. So just like the basic searches in the other databases, this is 360 is good for your broad search. If you enter your keywords into this search box, it's going to return articles from all the newspapers, the reports, the studies, even the social media posts in Eureka that contain those keywords in their full text somewhere. So this will get you a lot of results from a number of different resources, but they'll all be talking about the same topic. Now, for Eureka, just like in Newsstream, there is a 1-day delay on a lot of the full text. That's going to be expected, I think, in any database that deals with newspapers in particular. Most stuff has that 1-day delay. So, for example, a user searching for an article from l'Acadie Nouvelle that was published today isn't going to be able to access it till tomorrow. Here's what the search results looks like when you do a 360-degree search. So in our example here, we have typed the keyword Nouveau-Brunswick into the search box and clicked on the magnifying glass button. You see it right there. And you can see a large number of results are returned. So the 360-degree search, useful on this topic because it returns results from many different sources. There is also an option to search up a specific date range right beside the search box. And the default in Eureka, it'll search within the last 30 days, but you can change that to whatever you want. And it can search all the archives. And believe me, in Eureka, it can go back a long way. They go back many decades in some cases for some of their publications. So the most relevant results of your 360-degree search will appear at the top of the result list, so right here. So relevant refers to the articles with the most occurrences of your keyword search. And as you go down the list, fewer of those keywords appear in the articles, and so your relevance declines as you go down. So the top has the most relation to what you're searching for, and as you move down, that will reduce. And again, you will get results in English if they're in Eureka, but the vast majority are going to be in French. You can see, actually, there's a couple of articles that do pop up in English, but most of these here are French. All right. So we've done our search. We need to access an article that's caught our attention off the result list. So each article's headline and first lines appear in a box, name of the source at the bottom. You click the headline to read the article. So here's the article right here. So each article has the title, the author, the publication date, and the full text down below. You're able to read the whole article right there in Eureka. And patrons are able to print anything they find, as long as they're connected to a printer. At the top of a selected article are 3 icons. Okay, right there. Pin, print, save. For pinning, it works if the user creates an account with Eureka. I don't really recommend that, mostly because, I mean, if they make an account, you're not going to know their password or what they did, or anyway, I wouldn't be my first choice unless someone is using it a lot. But print and save are the recommended ways to preserve results in here. Plus, with anything where you create an account, like even my research, who knows what, they could change their format tomorrow and you wouldn't know where your stuff was. So, anyway, here we go. So, users can choose to save the article. So this works best, again, if they're at home or saving to a flash drive at your library. In Eureka, PDF saving is the only option because that's what they have all their results in. They don't have the HTML that the other databases have. It is in PDF. So the PDF that you save is going to include the full article and the citation. And in the advanced search, just like the other databases, this is good for when you really want to narrow down and get into the specifics of what you want. So like I mentioned before, advanced search is available below the search box on the homepage. So underneath 360, there's a hyperlink that says advanced search. And if you click on that, then you can enter several keywords and select exactly where you want those to appear in your search. So I put Nouveau Brunswick in the keyword as a keyword in the first search box, and then I select anywhere in the text. Then if I enter Acadie as a keyword in the second search box and select in the lead, this is going to return a list of results that are specifically about New Brunswick Acadian topics. So New Brunswick, great, I wanted to hear anything about New Brunswick, but in the lead means that's going to be either in the headline or right in the first line. So we know the article would specifically be about Acadian issues. So it will give you a shorter list and much more specific. And like the other advanced searches, you can select only a certain date range, or you only want things from a certain publication to be in your results. Now, this is something that I think a lot of patrons will like, searching by PDF. This is a good choice for patrons who want to read the entire issue of a periodical. So the PDF is available at the top left-hand side of the Eureka homepage. And if you click on that, the page will open, and it gives you an alphabetical list of all the different periodicals available in Eureka. And you can search by selecting the letter of the alphabet that corresponds to the desired periodical that you're looking for. If I clicked on A, I'm going to get Acadie Nouvelle on that list, for example. And then you click on the title of your desired periodical. Here's how they appear right here. You just click, I want that one. And the most recent issue opens. Most recent issue is the default search in PDF. So what pops up, your first result after you click on the title you want, is the latest issue they've got available. So the users can read the issue by paging through the PDF using arrows. I think most people these days have seen a PDF document and how to move through it. If not, it's very simple to explain to your patrons. You just click on the arrow as it appears over on the right-hand side, and it goes past. Or you can select a specific page number from the Pages menu in the upper left-hand corner when you open one. There's a little function for that, and they can just go to whatever page they want. And if you want to read back issues, remember when you open initially it's just going to be the most recent ones, you can select specific date or date range at the drop-down menu at the top of the screen instead of most recent. So you can just change that as you go. So yeah, like for a lot of folks, if, for example, you don't happen to have a subscription to the paper version of Acadie Nouvelle and someone comes in looking for it, you can access it through Eureka, no problem. But again, you're going to have the one-day delay. So just keep that in mind when you're recommending it to folks, but they can certainly read the day before, no problem. And I do like that when you open one of them and to get to the back issues, just put the date in or date range, and they all come right up, and they're easy to read. So that brings us to the end of our 3 general interest databases. So you've now gone over Canadian Newsstream, Canadian Reference Centre, and Eureka. So I say these ones have a lot of stuff that patrons are often looking for. So if they're really good places to turn to, especially for magazines that we might not have, or newspapers that we don't carry. Nobody has the Globe in print anymore, right? So this is a very good thing to recommend to patrons who might be still wanting to read the Globe and Mail in some way, so they can get it without having to go elsewhere. Are there any questions?
All right, if there aren't any other questions, I'll just say thanks to Stephanie for presenting today. And I will be sending out a list of practice questions for you to use with these 3 databases. If you're listening to this as a recording, then you can contact your public services librarian to receive that list of questions. So thanks everyone for joining us today, and have a great day.
Yes, thank you. Please make sure to do the questions. They're not onerous, I promise. They're not hard to do, but they're very, very good practice. And there's not a lot of them. Krista, I know you're asking, it'll be uploaded to the MBPLS YouTube page, I believe. I'm not sure when. Jessica would definitely know that. And but we can get that to you. But I know that's where they're going to upload it so everyone can see it. Yes, we'll definitely send out a link. The French one's already available. They did theirs, I think, last week. So this is the English recording now, and they'll both be up very soon.